This tutorial is about the structure of a table in SQL or the basics of data types we will be discussing. So in the previous tutorial we saw the introduction of table and how do we introduce tables in the databases. So there we discussed about there is a format and the structure of the table. So how do we define that structure in the table, that will be answering in this tutorial, right? So, when we define the structure of a table, we are not only saying what column names we want, we also need to specify the types, what type of information is permitted in each column, and this is really important, right? So, what I said is just while defining the table in SQL, we need column names and what type of column it is. That will be defined, that will be important. For the type of column means the type of information permitted in the column, which means data types. So when we say data type or type of information permitted in the column or type of column, that comes into the picture the concept of data types. So we have multiple data types in SQL. The data type can be a numeric one, so column stores numbers. So what kind of number it would be? If the column stores the characters, that what kind of characters and what is the storage value of that? So that will be covered in string types. And if that column stores data, date or time value, then what kind of, that will come under date types, right? So let's see what are the various data types we have. Firstly, we have numeric types, that a column will store numbers, right? Then that particular column will be storing int type, small int, tiny int, medium int, big int, decimal, numeric, float, double, and bit. So numbers could be whole number. It the size of that number, like it will store how many bits or bytes of data. Will it store whole numbers or will it store the decimal points? Will it store like very large value or small value, or will it be the bit value? So these will come under numeric types. Then if we have some name of the cities, a name of any person, or some characters value, alphabetical values will be there, then we will be calling it the string types. So it can be a single character, it can be a varchar, it can be a big value or a sentence, right? It can be a blob, it can be a text, a long text, right? It can be a binary value. So with basically the values there may vary from 1 to a bigger number with the type of characters or string, right? So these type of values are stored in string types. But are they similar? If we have these different data types in a single string types or a numeric type, we have these many categories. So there are difference if there uh, if they exist, there are differences between these data types, that's why they exist. But a lot of differences are very slight or minute, right? Then date types comes into picture, where we store date, right? We store date plus time both, where we store time stamp, where we store only time or year, right? So such kind of values we define while defining a table or while defining a column in a table, right? We need to define what kind of column it is. For example, we have employee table where we are storing employee data. So in that we will be storing the employee ID, right? So that ID will be like, if my employee ID is 1001, right? Then that employee ID is numeric value, right? It won't store strings, so that will come under numeric type, right? The values or number of digits I am storing will vary from these many values, right? It won't be float, it will be a whole number, right? Because it won't contain decimal or fractions, right? So I will have to choose accordingly. Now if for example I have two values and I have divided them, so it can be a decimal point, so it will be float or double as per the size. So that way we define this one. Now for example I have the email ID of the employee, right? For example, progadme at the rate, or let's say contact us at the rate progadme.com, right? So that is the uh, string type, because special character is there, then we have characters included, so that will come under string type. So it could be something text or varchar, that will be variable character. Then if I am storing date of joining of that employee, then that will come under date or date time, right? Or what year he joined maybe, and what date he joined basically, so that it comes under date types, right? Now we may prefer the documentation as well, that may be dev.mysql.com docs. So I will be attaching the link in the description of this video. So I have this dev.mysql.com doc refman 9.7 data types.html. So this is the one where you can go through all the data types, numeric data types, date and time data types, string data types, special data types, and we have default values, then JSON data types. We have all the thing, all complete document is there, because right. So this is the official document, as you can say see here. So you can go through this if you want for the more information and all. So these data types may be like, this is numeric, so here you will see what are the fixed points, what are the bit values, and what are the integer types, what exact value they store, right? So here you can go through, you will find this link in the description. Now if we talk about, for an example, let me see very basic data type, that is int. So this is a whole number with maximum or signed value of this value 21474. This will be the maximum value, and the minimum value will be the negative value. Signed value means for this value negative to positive, right? So it could be positive or negative. Decimal or fractions are not allowed in int type because these are whole numbers, right? As I told you, it is a whole number. Similar way, we have varchar. Varchar is a variable length string. That means it is used where we have the variable length. For example, I need to define coffee, right? Let me try to open my notepad once. Let's say I have something as coffee. This value, this will be the a variable length value, or this is the string value, right? Where the value I can define 91, this value, but in quotes, that will come under string value or the variable character value, right? Then for an example, let me type something uh, this way. So this will also a variable length. Then when we specify data type in a table, we can specify the maximum number of characters allowed with varchar. Varchar means variable character. So we can define inside this bracket maximum length it can take. So here I have defined varchar 80. So maximum characters it will take is 80. After 80 it won't take, right? So this is varchar. Now let us take one example, this table. So here I have this cats table here with name, breed, and age. So as name stores only name values, like uh, cat's name Sam, Monty, Rocket, Blue. So these names will always store text values, right? And those text values stored, as we saw in the previous video, the variable length string. So this string will store the text value. So a text value, this name, all these names will be text, so that will store varchar. So we can define some length here, right, depending on how the data is with us. Then we are storing breed of a cat, right? Tabby, Persian cat, Scottish fold. So it will also be text. So as per the character length, we can define the length here. Now, age. So age is always a number, right? It cannot be something in characters. So it will always be in integer format. True. Then, for example, if I have some age, let's say the age is defined as 10, and if a query comes up that 2 years back my cat was 8, right? So if I want to calculate 2 years back, right? So 2 years back means for today it will be previous years, 2 years back age plus 2. So we cannot add this, right? So we want like, then now it will be 8 plus 2, that means we can add 10. Now the age will be 10. For example, if my cat's age is 10 as of now, then after 2 years what will be the age? That means 12. So if I define this age as ten, then I will not be able to plus 2, right? So that's why we cannot define in age this value. So that will always be numeric, right? Now you have one question. uh, to check your understanding, you have to draw a table named students, or you can call it employee. Then uh, let us correct it. So it will be draw a table named employee. At a minimum, the columns must include employee ID, that will be maximum 10 characters, employee name, that will be maximum 80 characters, and employee email ID, that will have maximum 100 characters. And you have to draw the table for this, just like the previous one, right? And you have to make sure that you define the, or you specify the correct MySQL data types for this, right? Just try to make this table, and for what column name you define what data type, just comment it down, right? To judge your knowledge, or what if you understand it. If you have any queries, you can comment down, and I will revert back to a comment. Now let's go more. Let's check if you have done it correctly or not. So this is our table: employee ID, employee name, and employee email, which will look like this, right? So employee ID must be a number, right? So it will be integer format. Now employee name will be text, as you can see or visualize here. So it will be variable as 80, as I told you that it should have maximum character length of 80. Now employee email, as you see that including the special character, it has all the characters, so it will be text only. So it will be varchar, variable character, right? And the maximum character included is 100. So this is the solution. Hope you understand it well, and see you in the next tutorial. We will be learning more concepts. Happy learning.